السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. And welcome to Friday Night Lights. Let me introduce the panel. There's myself, and I humbly say I need no introduction. I'm just kidding. We have, of course, Sheikh Walid Basyuni with us. We have Sister Rana Al-Mamlouk. Sisters are familiar with her because she has that Sunday class, Walking the Journey with the Quran. But just a little bit about her. She is currently the principal of an Islamic school, and she has been in the field of education for 36 years, educating youth, young children, and women, conducting camps, counseling, and workshops. And she has an educational background in Sharia and business and organizational management. To my right is Dr. Abdul Hakim Muhammad. He's one of those people that you have to basically summarize his resume, right? And we don't want to overpraise him in the sight of Allah, but he earned his bachelor's degree in Sharia in Islamic law from the University of Medina, holds a PhD in Islamic philosophy, and we're going to skip, and then mention that he's the president of NAIF, which is the North American Imams Federation. Welcome to everybody. Welcome Dr. Abdul Hakim, welcome Sister Rana Al-Mamlouk, and welcome Sheikh Walid Basyuni.
I miss you guys. Oh, sure. It's like nobody missed me. I have been a while actually since I came to the Friday Night Lights, because I was like in Australia watching you, I was in Indonesia watching you, I was in Malaysia watching you, then from home watching you last week. So it's like been like 4 or 5, almost a month. So I just want you to know, guys, that I keep watching what Sheikh Kamal doing.
Watching me, basically, huh? All right.
Okay.
So today's title, we're talking about Ramadan etiquettes, and we're not really talking about, we might get into some fiqh areas, but just general ways to, as far as conduct and making Ramadan easier on everybody, and just some tips here and there. And it's not directed to anybody in particular. I'm going to be citing places outside of Houston, so nobody thinks I'm talking about them, you know. And sometimes you see all kinds of weird things happening in Ramadan, or when there are crowds together. Just these things happen, you know. Like, so I'll reference our masjid in Canada because they're not watching. I'll reference Virginia because I don't care what anyone there thinks, so that I don't have to talk about Houston. But so let me start with one story. A lady, her child vomited on the carpet, and she left it. That's it. That's the end of the story. All right. What would you do at home? You know. So this was this masjid, and she said, "Is there any cleaner here?" Like, no, there's no cleaner. It's 11 o'clock at night. What would you do at home if your child vomited on the carpet? Call a maid service? Wallah. We'll just clean it, right? So I want us to look at the house of Allah as like more special than just our own homes, and we treat it better than that. And these things collectively, especially when you have a couple of hundred people in the same building every day for 30 days, these things make things easier and smoother. Or wallah.
Yeah, or somebody put a diaper, a baby diaper, and tried to flush it in the toilet. I don't know if any, that's true, by the way. It's not 1 or 2 or 3 times. I don't know if you ever do that at home.
Probably not. And they haven't made flushable diapers yet. They haven't.
But again, I guess the point is that you don't think about it this way. Like even I was wondering sometimes why people think that way about the masjid, that they don't really take that extra steps of cleaning it. And when I tried to look at it, I think one of the point is people really psychologically don't think about it as, you know, they think it's like a service, like I'm here as a customer and leave, you know. They don't feel like this is my home, my responsibility. And in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, كانت في المسجد امرأة تقم المسجد. There was a woman, just a single one. She used to pick up the any like small little things like this on the floor, she see it, she will clean it, and she وتطيب المسجد, and she bring طيب, and she will put like perfume the masjid, make it look good, smell good, and look good and clean. And that's basically, she dedicated her life for that. And when she died, the Sahaba buried her. And when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam missed her, he missed this woman. Where is she? He said she died. And by the way, he didn't miss her like a week later, just the next day. So that means that's something that valuable what you do. Then the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went and prayed janazah on her and her grave. And the reason that the Sahaba mentioned, I'm sure she used to pray, I'm sure she used to fast, I mean she was a good woman, she's a Muslim, that's right? You guys agree? Or you don't agree? You agree? She used to do a lot of things. So when the narrators, the Sahabi, mentioned this particular point in particular, he pointed that out because of the value of this action. And that's why she was like, looked in a very high regard, because she cared about making sure that the masjid, and by the way, she was not hired as a cleaning lady. She just cared about the masjid to be clean. So I think that's something that really we should all care for it. And that's a very good point, because sometimes when it's overwhelming crowd, it became hard. And I give Azimuddin harder time about the cleaning. We have 2 teams to clean every day in Ramadan, beside the volunteers. So that's a good point.
Sister Rana, when you visited last Ramadan, and you had some very good advice to the community, just about general etiquettes of the month that I found to be excellent and I agreed with very much. So just what are some ways we can prepare with the right attitude for the month?
So I believe that one of the main thing that we can do as an adult is a role model. You can hear me now?
Yeah, we put it a little bit down. Yeah. No, this way will make. Yeah,
just down.
Just
Okay.
flip it a little bit.
So one of the things that we can be a role model as an adult, because the children are always absorbing us. And I think, subhanAllah, imatatul adha an tariq, that if you remove anything from the way is sadaqah. And we know that especially during the month of Ramadan, we want to multiply our good deeds. So we should not, even if we didn't do it, it's just like sometimes you ask little kids, remove this, well, I didn't do it. We don't want to have this attitude as an adult. We should all, whenever we feel that this is my home, I don't want to see this, I need to remove it. So I think we should help one another by doing this. Being the good example is very important, because children see us, whatever they see we do, they will do. And stripping the soul of Ramadan can be just by unleashing the children and let them do whatever they want in the masjid. So I think one of the things is, yes, we want to bring them to the masjid and we want them to feel welcome in the masjid, but at the same time we have to have control and discipline for them. We have to teach them what the etiquette of the masjid before they come, and when they come here what they're supposed to do, and also being the role model for them.
All right. Dr. Abdul Hakim, look, we've got, this happens a lot. Kids fight. It's normal. If they didn't fight, I would think something was wrong. So kids fight, and nobody likes their kid, their child to be, crying or upset or hurt by another. So sometimes parents get upset. And then it ends up being a fight between 2 parents because of the children. And then next day the children make up and they're friends and they're playing in the play area, and the parents giving each other the dirty look from across the from across the room. What are good ways to deal with things like that?
First of all, I don't like these chairs. I'm short. I'm from Yemen. And as you can see, my legs are dangling in the air. All 3 of them are sitting comfortably.
Well, Sheikh, when we were standing, we were the same height. How suddenly?
now I'm just dangling there, and if I sit straight, it's never going to work out for me. Glad I'm just a guest today. We have a saying in Yemen. It's a cultural saying. He said, "My child and your child are children that are playing. If they get in a fight, if my kid beats yours, they're still kids. But if your child beats mine, then how dare you allow your child to do this?" You know, we're supposed to be adults because of our maturity. And the beauty of being an adult maturity is that you calculate the incident for its time and understand that if it doesn't have everlasting effect, then you should not be the reason to make it so. Children are pure by heart. The moment that they're fighting, they're really just expressing something at that moment, but not really indulging in their hearts to hate. You and I are different. I think what would be a better solution is that we show our maturity by talking with each other and teaching our children that they can play without fight. They can enjoy each other without harm. They are in a masjid where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling it home, or his house. So it is our home as it is his house, and there's manners. So we teach our children, and both of them our children. The moment we think that's his and this is mine, we already have crossed that line of family within the fold of Islam. We're families. In fact, I will be more concerned for the other child than mine, because that child's parent might not be there. Every day, every moment for children is a moment of cry and joy. They express adhaka wa abka. Don't be the one that expresses abka all the time. Right? Let them enjoy their moment. And you cherish their joy and calm their anger. That's what our job is all about.
Excellent. Jazakallah khair. Can I say something about this fight thing? Okay. I'm going to ask one of the sisters and the volunteers, please, those kids who are running around, if they want to run around, they can go to the playground. Can I have one sister to volunteer to go? Yeah. See all these kids who are like in the hallway? Tell them to go to the back, not in the sisters' prayer area, but all the way in the playground, the community hall. Number one, quickly. Many parents sometimes when there is a problem happen with their kids, immediately they make their kids are the wrong one. And they start blaming them and and they are the wrong. I think that's not fair. So many times my dad said, "Yani accusing me," and I'm the one who's been abused by the other kids. So don't just because you want to be nice in front of the other people, to abuse your own kids. I need to recognize your own kids, to support your kids. Supporting your kids, it doesn't mean to justify what is wrong. But also if he's been abused, he's been abused. That's one. Two, don't ever just say my kids never did anything wrong. That's also another extreme you don't want. De-escalate, okay? And just separate from each other. It's a very good in the masjid that you always have other third party can come and calm down the kids and calm down the problem between the family. If you see the parents become too angry, just pull it back, and don't try the conflict. Khair inshallah, la bas inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all of us. Just be nice, just smile and pull back until things come down. But de-escalate. I cannot emphasize enough on the importance of this. Just a quick point.
But may I add one thing? It's very important for us as parents to address this issue at home before we come to the masjid. We have to prepare the children before they come to the masjid. The respect for Allah's house, that we are there in Allah's house, and to show them that this is very important. 1, 2, 3, these are the things. We don't throw stuff on the floor, we don't fight, we don't run around. So this is something that the children need to be prepared at home before they come here. In order for us, we can't expect them to just know everything. So they really need to be prepared every time, and you need to repeat that, because it says that it takes about 70 to 80 times of repetition for the child to accomplish what you want them to do. So you just have every time before, where are we going? We're going to the masjid. What are we going to do in the masjid? How we're going to maintain ourselves in the masjid? If we want Allah to love you, this, and I don't ever, just like tell them you're going to go to hellfire or something like that, because that's not the appropriate way to do it. But prepare them and reward them after they're done. This, mashallah, I'm so proud of you for what you did at the masjid, and you did a wonderful job, and you have to remind your friends, don't run together. And it's just like we have to prepare them before they come here.
I like that, that's a good point. But 70 to 80 times? 70 to 80 times before kids get it? I feel bad for my kids. Like, I'll tell them, how many times did I say this? At least 4 times, didn't I? That should have been enough. So I was like, it's like 76 times short, huh? All right.
Anas ibn Malik, he used to stay with the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Let's be real a little bit too. And he would wake up at night and he would witness the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam praying, and he would join the prayer. But it was long. When Anas was a kid, he said that he talked to himself at times and attempted to leave the prayer. We're talking about Anas. We're not talking about a regular child. So our children are not Anas. Yes, our prayers are not as long as the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but Anas found himself incapable to wait that long. I think besides the house teaching the child, and we have volunteers and all that, you have to fill their time. You have to make them feel that they're doing something, not just waiting for their parents to finish their prayers. And having them pray as a solution is not. It's good for them to join the prayers, but then they'll just act like Anas. When is he finishing? Have them do other activities. I'm assuming there's a lot of activities here, but when one has free time, then the shaitan takes over. As an adult, imagine as children, they will find themselves losing control. So fill them with different things. Sometimes it's intellectual, sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's jokes, sometimes it's a movie, sometimes it's, whatever creativity that comes and makes them intrigued to stick around. Maybe as a parent you'll find at the end of the night, let's go home, and they'll say, I don't want to go home yet. And that's a good sign.
Actually, that's the story of our masjid. We have parents who have a hard time getting their kids to leave because there's so much fun stuff to do. And it's such an important point. One thing I like about Sheikh Walid Basyouni is that he cares very much of almost like a customer service attitude in the masjid, And that's important. And I always tell this, that when I was younger, I didn't like, there was a masjid behind our house in Sudan. I didn't like the masjid. There was a time when I didn't like it, and then later on we started to like it. Why? Because you go there, and for the most part, especially 1988 and stuff, who's in the masjid? Old guys, all right? Just a bunch of old guys, kid. And they're all retired. They have nothing to do. They're bored with their life. They fought and finished the fighting with the wife. So now they're like, khalas, let me find another fight. So they come to the masjid just to fight. Like every salah there's a fight. I don't know what they fight over. And when they're done fighting with each other, they need something to entertain themselves, So they go and look at the youth. They just come and you'll find an old man staring at you up and down, kid. And he'll find something wrong. What's this? Why are you wearing that? Why are you wearing shorts? Why? And they just made the youth miserable. So even when the two kids fight, so important that after they fight, please let them make up. Don't just let them separate from each other. But they're brothers, they're sisters. Let them make up, make peace between them, and make sure the way you correct a child doesn't make them hate the house of Allah. Because that's such a big deal if they hate the house of Allah, especially in America. So even if I get really mad at a kid, whatever, I always make sure afterwards, I bring him to my office, I give him candy, I give him a toy, I tell him he's my favorite, even though he's not. But you know the idea that, I'm kidding.
I'm defending the children, I'm sorry. A man came into the masjid and urinated. That's an adult. That's an adult. It wasn't a child. He did a absurd act. The Sahaba were outrageous. The Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam ordered them to leave him be until he's done, and taught the gentleman the way he's supposed to be and why the masjid was built for the ibadah and dua. The hadith is known. That's an adult. We're never going to get our way with the children. It's minimizing the damage, but at the end of the day, we damage a child at that age, it might last him for a long time. I will mention a personal story. I'm getting, I think, personal right now, emotional. But I grew up in Detroit. Yes, during the old folks that you mentioned. And just as any other child, we were rebellious at times. So sometimes we did this just to get under the skin of the old folks. It's not necessarily we're just having fun. But the imam at that time did something. It had its impact on me for years to come. And every imam was that one person. Every imam was that guy. Make sure when you remedy, that the remedy doesn't become the disease. Okay? Because when we stop munkar, it should be resulting in a ma'ruf, not even in a munkar equal to it, but in a better situation, in ma'ruf. Now imagine if the munkar becomes a greater munkar. This is their home, their house. The future of this building is dependent on those children that play around. I played around. I'm speaking today. What changed is because that scar that I had found someone else that healed it. What if I didn't find that person? So it's not acceptable that our children become out of control, but it's never acceptable that the sunnah destroys the future of a child.
Good point. Okay, so you know something we always say that and sometimes we say, you know, people are very wasteful, right? And I think we all need to really work on wastefulness. Just by the fact that we live in America, there's just a default level of wastefulness that just comes with the territory. And a lot of people see themselves as frugal and not wasteful, but most people are extremely wasteful. I think we need to be very aware of that. Like, sometimes I'll go into the community, I'll count like 17 bottles of water. And mush empty, I wish. Each one was opened and the person just took a sip like this. Just a dainty sip, and then just left it. Araf, eda. They just leave it. Full bottle, just 17 of them like that. Coke cans, or rice, chicken. Someone will take the meal, just one piece of rice, that's it. And just leave it there on the table. And I'm talking about Canada. Okay? So what are ways, how can we not be as wasteful? And I don't know, are people wasteful in their homes? Or is it that I didn't pay for it? Or what is I don't know what the problem is. What's the issue? Why is that?
Sure. Let's be practical. Okay, I take a sip or two from this bottle. Okay, then what happened? I leave it somewhere, go play, and come back. I don't know which one is mine. So I'm not going to take the risk by taking someone else's bottle. Outside, that's like a good chunk of these bottles or drinks, 60% of them outside, are the result of this. I don't think it's intentionally meant to waste. I genuinely think there's a lot of people just, do you guys agree or not? No? Okay.
There is a solution to that, though.
Yeah, so you don't agree that it is partially the problem? Less percentage? Okay, I don't mind to settle.
All is nice. You know, he's like trying to find excuses.
This is mine, Habib.
Okay, good. So I think there is a problem with this. So we need a what's the solution?
Marker with names on the bottle.
But I mean, kids,
Everything.
come on,
Yeah,
man.
you agree?
It's not practical. I'm going to carry a
Well,
marker.
then bring your own. Everybody bring your own.
Yes, Ahmed.
Yeah, so sometimes when we have a lot of people and guests in our house, we do that. We have a permanent marker, and people would mark their bottle or their cup or whatever.
Nice.
So if we have one in the back in the community area on the men's side and one on the women's side, just maybe put some reminders to everyone.
You know what? Well, how about this? We applied this year. I'm going to put a marker or attached to like a rope or something like that next to the fridge where the water is. Write your name
On the bottle.
on the bottom.
You don't get it. You don't get a bottle till your name's on it.
I don't know.
You know, I tried that.
Mostly.
I've been trying that for 3 years. In my office, I bought 4 permanent markers. I put them in a basket, and I told just the kids who frequent my office, do not take a bottle. Do not open it till you put your name on it. Didn't work. Just with like 7 kids, it didn't work.
I like it. I
Hmm?
like it. That's something we tried.
All right, let's do it
friends.
as a challenge then.
Yeah, let's
See if
do
that
that.
would work.
And also, I like that. Encourage your own bottled water. You know, bring your own. I like that. That's a very good solution.
And just put it in your pocket or in your purse. So make sure, like, if you have a water bottle and you didn't write your name, just keep it with you. So, I mean, you have to be mindful.
No, you have to be mindful.
Okay,
Nice.
that's the water bottle. What about the chicken? What
Well,
are we gonna do about the chicken?
before the water
They're
bottle, let's
afraid
just
that
say,
the food is going to be done.
yeah, but the food or the bottle, let's just say I left the phone here. What are the chances that I will not know my phone? I'm going to go back to it. It's on my mind, right? Because it matters to me, correct? Well, every time you eat or drink, there's something called barakah inside that, whatever that plate or water that you have. The moment you choose it for you to eat or drink, Allah puts blessings in it, puts barakah in it. The thing is, I don't know if the barakah is my first sip or my last sip. I don't know if it's my first gulp or my last one. So if I sense my barakah is attached to finishing, it solves a lot of problems because now I want the smaller plate because I don't know if I can finish it if it's bigger, and I want the bottle to be near and close to me because maybe my blessings is missed. If I sense that all the time, I'm taking it with me. I'm not forgetting it.
I love it. I love it. So don't take too big of a plate because you might, whatever you leave out is the barakah. And also you don't want to overstuff yourself. Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, or somebody said, Shaykh, I have to eat everything on the plate, whatever. Like, he said, if your stomach is trash bag, if you treat like stomach your trash, I mean, you have to eat everything. But if you can't, you can't. Khalas. Some people feel like I have to stuff everything, but the problem from the beginning, why did you take too much? I love that. Just think about the barakah.
Okay, what if somebody loves the barakah so much that some people didn't get their first plate? وَأَخِينَا فِي اللَّهِ wants more barakah. He bought 2, 3, 4 plates. And he's going to take it to barak fil barak fil bayt. And the people didn't even get to break their iftar yet. We've seen barakah like that before. What's the advice in this area here?
No, it's not barakah. Don't use that right there.
I'm being
It's
funny.
not, it's not barakah. That's called israf.
Also, it could not be israf. Could be some people take really being inconsiderate. عندنا في الإسلام concept اللي هو إيش استرنا الإيثار.
الإيثار. نعم.
الإيثار. يعني the Sahaba رضي الله عنهم in one of the narration, they were in a room and the light goes like there is very little food. About 20 of them, they were like, I don't know the Sahaba, the Tabi'een now, but there were 20 of them in the Ma'id, on the like around the food, and there is a small amount. Guess what? They turned off the light so nobody will see how much everybody's eating, out of respecting people's feeling. Okay, it's like let's say we have 20 pieces of chicken and maybe 50 fries. Okay, then but there is about 15 people around or 20 people around this amount of food. You know you're gonna have one. If everybody take one, some of them were left without. So, do you know what those group of righteous people did when the light was turned on? They started acting as if they are eating. but they're actually not eating because they want their brother to eat and sister. So when they turn on the light on, they found the food as it is. Nobody touched it. Everybody left it for his or her brother.
You know, there's a hadith Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu says, الشيخ ذكرني إياه الله تعالى الشيخ وشافيه ويعافيه ويرفع عنه كل هم وغم. قولوا آمين يا إخوان. قولوا آمين يا إخواتنا. There was a bowl of milk. I love this hadith. There was a bowl of milk that was brought to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In that setting, there was a lot of people. And Abu Hurairah was talking to himself, and he said, I wish the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not ask me to serve. Because if he serves, he drinks last. And it's like the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam read his mind. He said, Ya Aba Hir, iskilko. Get up and give them. So he started, he gave the first person, he took the bowl, he drank. And then the second, and the third, and the fourth, one after the other. And each time Abu Hurairah will peek into that bowl because he's worried that bowl will not have that milk left for him. And each time he's looking, that milk was still there. Al-barakah, barakah. Until all have drank. Then the Rasul ﷺ said to Abu Hurairah, Ya Aba Hir, ishrab. So he drank. And then he reached it to the Rasul ﷺ. Rasul ﷺ said to him, drink again. He drank. Gave it back to the Rasul ﷺ. He drank it for the third time till he said, Ya Rasulullah, wallahi, there's not enough left for my stomach to drink anymore. When you put your brother ahead of you, then you're putting yourself ahead of your brother in the eyes of Allah Ta'ala. Remember that. When you put yourself ahead of your brothers and sisters, for the sake of Allah Ta'ala, what do you think Allah Ta'ala is going to do? He's going to put you ahead of everybody else. There's no one more generous. ليس هناك من هو أكرم من الله. More generous than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Not عن أنفسهم. على. You see the difference? You're given ithar for your sake. For your sake.
All right, that's actually a great attitude, and I'll tell you a true story. This brother invited the people for iftar, and you know when you invite people for iftar, you're cooking from the morning, and he had the meals out and everything, and his guests started critiquing the food right in front of him. They thought they're like on the cooking channel or something. In front of the host, who was this one is a bit too salty. This one could have used more lemon. Like they're just some judge on Chopped or whatever, one of these food channels. They're just sitting there critiquing the food in front of the person. So one of the things I like is like always make sure, if it's your mom who cooked, if it's your wife, if you're at someone's house, or even at the masjid, you can always thank the chef. You know, we used to spend Ramadan in Brooklyn, and there was the same brother who used to make the food. He used to love me because after every iftar, I would go to him and tell him how amazing the food was, and I would thank him for it and tell him what an amazing chef he was. His eyes would light up like this, and then he would come and pull me aside. Today I made something special for you, Musharraf. That's what you get. That's the benefit, you know. But thank you, whoever it is. You know, here sometimes we know the restaurant owner would be in the building. You know, walk up to him, thank him. I think reaching over to a volunteer who packs and hands food, thanking them. And you don't like the food, thank them. I gotta tell you the story. One time, a sister was handed a box of food. When she opened it, she looked at the volunteer. She said, "Wallah haram alaykum." Just take it. Hatta lo haram alaykum, just take it. Eat it later, throw it, whatever, but not like that.
النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الترمذي ما عاب طعاما قط إن اشتهاه أكله وإن لم يشتهه تركه. He never criticized the food صلى الله عليه وسلم. If he likes it, he eats it. If he doesn't like it, he leaves it. Simple.
Guess we need to revisit our manners.
Yeah. طيب. I think there is a rice pudding.
Yeah, there's the rice pudding competition, so we gotta. Okay, let me just. I don't want to dominate all the points here, but the parking crew, thanking them every now and then. The police officer, you know, I would love that police officers who go to masajid notice a difference between masajid and wherever else they go, where they say, oh, people are thanking them and people are so nice to them and slip him a baklawa over here. You know, it's not a bribe. Slip him, thank him for their service, for whatever it is they do. I was like saying, if يعني, God forbid, if he hears gunshots, he's going to come to risk his life to save ours. And I'll tell you, we used to have one police officer, and then one day he admitted to us that people were super rude to him. Here in the masjid. I can't believe it. Like, we just think, we take it for granted that the Muslimin, they're going to know this is a non-Muslim and be extra nice and make him associate this good behavior with the masjid. But the parking crew, all these people, sometimes we give them a hard time. You know, make sure you always thank them for their work. And some of them are just like teenagers, sometimes they're like early 20s doing this work. And just be nice to them and thank the volunteers. Just show appreciation, things like that. And I don't mean this masjid, I mean in general, like whoever's listening also. This is the attitude in Ramadan. People are serving you, you're thankful. You're like, you know what, let me help you. Do you need help? I'll volunteer as well. Not just being served all the time.
I love this etiquette, like being helpful, being ready to help. That's a very good adab for Ramadan, especially when you come. What can I do? You know, instead of always why it is done this way. What can I do? How can I help? That's very good. You want to say something? Because I want to switch a gear about something else. Go ahead.
Well, maybe not about this point, if,
Okay, go ahead.
not about the
whatever point.
volunteer. But one thing that during Ramadan, subhanAllah, we're all coming here to pray and to enjoy Ramadan. So it's very important that also we mind our manners when people are praying. We're not having a conversation because we want to focus on the prayer. There are, mashallah, a large space outside that people can go and talk. And many times, like, the khatira comes in the middle and we want to hear, but then immediately after Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, people are talking and they start to get loud. I think this habit needs to be changed because we really need to be respectful to Allah's house and also allow others to enjoy being here and feeling the spirit of Ramadan, and we should help one another to do that.
Keep that around everybody, 2 minutes, everybody, and we close it.
All right, fine.
Unless they have a specific point.
All right. So unless someone has a specific point, we're going to do just 2 minutes. Everyone closing remarks, advice, and then we'll go to the event.
Okay, so for me, some of the etiquettes that I would like to touch upon quickly, since I have 2 minutes only. Number one, when you come to the masjid, make sure that you always think about that the gates of paradise, the gates of mercy are wide open. And I want you to think about that. This is my prime goal. My prime goal is not socializing. My prime goal is not, to just eat a meal. No, it's really to enter through his gates of mercy and to earn the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the rewards that is waiting for me over there. So that's the attitude that you should come up with. Come with all the time to the masjid. Number two, make sure that you make the dua when you leave your house. There is a small app, like a simple app you can put on your device, and you learn about what's the dua that you say before you're leaving the house. So also the dua is entering the masjid. All these have a great impact of the way you behave, the way you observe. One of the etiquette, try to come early to the masjid. Try to come just a few minutes early. To pray the Sunnat al-Isha and basically to be ready to pray Taraweeh and so forth. So try to come early, try to read Quran, try to listen to the Quran if you can't. I'll tell you also one of the adab and to prepare yourself from Ramadan. One of the things that I will advise you to do right now, find your favorite qari, okay? Somebody that you love to listen to the recitation, and download the whole entire mushaf in your phone. And this year, let's make at least 2 khatmas, 2 times to khatm al-Quran. One reading, okay, and the other one listening. That's another khatm al-Quran also, that you listen to the Quran. And by having this whole entire mushaf download, and you can even sometimes speed up the speed of it on YouTube, And you can listen to the whole Quran. And if you can listen to it and read from look at the Mus'haf at the same time, that's beautiful. But if you can't, at least that you listen to the whole Quran. That will have many benefits. It will correct your recitation, make you familiar with the Quran. Number one key in memorization is the familiarity. The more you're familiar with the words, with the sounds of the words, you become easy for you to memorize. So that will help you to memorize, to even improve your memorization of the Quran. So make sure that you do that and you make it one, two khatmas, listening. That's it in this Ramadan. And all these things, from now, make a lot of istighfar, a lot of, make tawbah to cleanse your heart, so your heart have a space for these beautiful things to come inside it during Ramadan. And a lot of dua. اللهم بلغنا رمضان وبارك لنا فيه يا رب العالمين. Thank you very much.
I want to tell you, Ramadan for you is a challenge. A challenge that you can't afford to fail. In fact, you're not allowed to fail. If you fail the month of Ramadan, you are considered a loser. I know Sheikh has given you, and everybody here is trying to give you practical things to practice. I'm telling you, you fail the success of Ramadan, you are a loser. Why am I saying this? في سنن الترمذي عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه والحديث حسن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم says رغم أنف رجل ذكرت عنده فلم يصلي علي صلوا على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ورغم أنف رجل أدركه دخل عليه شهر رمضان فانسلخ عنه ولم يغفر له. A Ramadan came into him and he was exited and ended before he was forgiven. Not the forgiveness after. Actually, Ramadan ended before he was forgiven. This individual, Rasulullah considered him a loser, dragged by his nose. Whatever means you can do to make your fasting better, then do it. Then do it. Whether it is to do 2 khatms or even just carrying the mushaf in your hand. Just carry it in your hand is a remembrance. Whether it is waking up early, coming to the masjid early, or having your tongue moist with the dhikr, or feeding someone, or carrying someone, or healing someone, whatever. Ramadan is a farm that's filled with everything that you can think of religiously except Hajj. So you can cherry pick what you like, or you can do retails, or you can do wholesale, but don't let Ramadan exit and you're still a loser, not forgiven. Because that's not an option. That's not an option. One Ramadan can be sufficient enough for you and I to go to Jannah. The hadith didn't say multiple Ramadans. The hadith said Ramadan. Make it your objective to be forgiven, and we don't have to worry about food that doesn't taste well, or kids that run around and cause noise, or security that's worried about gunshots, or anything else. We will be in a place, ala sururin mutaqabilin, sitting, facing each other, not one giving the other their back. And our company is the best company that have no ill feelings towards each other. And every Friday, instead of getting together to watch you guys do things from Australia or from Europe, or I don't know where Sheikh Walid every week is, we will be guests while Allah Ta'ala is hosting us to a meal that He orders His angels to serve us. Wouldn't that be better if we just succeed in one Ramadan? Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Abdul Hakim. Sister Rana, on the closing remarks.
Well, fasting is all about patience. I mean, that's one of the virtues of fasting. So we're patient all day, not eating, not drinking. just if we can extend this patience a little bit longer when we come here, it's with one another, it's also with ourselves, to contain ourselves, to preserve our tongue, to make sure that we are not disturbing other people, and try to make it a peaceful Ramadan, inshallah, for everyone. I think that's one important thing, inshallah, that we can practice.
Jazakallah khair. Barakallahu feekum. I'll conclude with the same point I made in the khutbah today. I was saying that people will abstain from certain things, whether they be haram or makruh, and from sunup until sundown, and then after sundown, they light up the cigarette, they're vaping, they're doing this, they're watching television, and it's not really about the day being for Allah, it's the whole month for Allah, the whole 30 days. So you keep that attitude, and inshallah it'll carry on for the rest of the year. I'd like to thank our...
I would like to say we are very open for your ideas. So make sure you reach out to Sheikh Kamal, Sheikh Ibrahim, myself. Inshallah, hopefully next week I'll be more available. Sheikh Azimuddin, our administrator, for all your feedback. It's something great that we have in this community. Always kind of hear from you, listen to you guys. You know, if you want to volunteer in Ramadan, please let us know from now. So we need more volunteers during the month of Ramadan. You know, during iftar or during Taraweeh. We'll have iftar inshallah in the weekend, okay, in the first, but last 10 days we'll have iftar every night inshallah here. Salat al-Taraweeh will be as regular inshallah ta'ala. But I want to say that this is two-way communication. Masjid's not just one way. It is all of us as a community want to succeed. And I want to make sure that it's worth that 20 minutes drive, 30 minutes drive, you know, for you to come to the masjid, to pray here, to enjoy in the salah with us, inshallah ta'ala. And also I would like to ask Sheikh Abdul Hakim, he's the Imam of the Muslims, North American Imam Federation, the executive director of it, or CEO, I don't know what's the official title is, but he's the boss. He's the leader, actually. And really, NAIF have been resurrected and became something that I'm very proud to be part of it. And I want to tell you guys, maybe you know that or not, but your donations, your support to this masjid, made Clear Lake among the earliest organization to support NAIF and to make its commitment to support NAIF to grow. Because wherever I travel around the world and I see how the imams are unified, and there is a strength in that unity, and there is a smartness in that way, I know how important for the Imam Federation to be. Not every masjid is the same as Clear Lake Islamic Center. You know, today one imam of a masjid was telling me, one brother, and he was giving khutbah Jum'ah in a masjid, and when they give the khutbah, everything wonderful, and about to lead the prayer, somebody in the community said, hey, you cannot lead the prayer because you're wearing clothes of the kuffar. They pulled him out from the mihrab. So not every masjid, alhamdulillah, is open mind like this, and the imam was very, you know, not there, but you need the quality training, how to effectively do your work at the masjid. I'm going to give the Sheikh a minute just to give a little bit about what NAIF is, what they've been doing, what they expected, how this will affect us as a community member.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikhna. The masjid, for many people, when they talk about the masjid, they reference to the structure. But really, it's just the building. The value of it comes from what's inside the building. And the number one individual within the building that really puts the stage for everyone else is the imam. Clear Lake is not Clear Lake because it just happens to be a masjid that had a plan. It started with an individual that had a vision. It was the Imam, Sheikh Walid. I don't want to praise him in front of him, but it was a Sheikh Walid. I can see the faces of everybody here. When he speaks, there's a smile there. And he was able to bring about what we see today. We want not just Clear Lake to be lucky, It should not be lucky. We want it to be the norm. So, the North American Imams Fellow is an organization that we established so we can serve the Imam to be better so he can serve you. And we focused because of the following. Number one, the Imam is the only person when he speaks, everybody religiously is supposed to listen. And since all of you are listening religiously, then what you hear should be worthy. So we want to make sure that the Imam, when he speaks, he's really appreciating the audience that is in front of him and gives them the best that he can have. Number two, he's the source of their faith. So we want to make sure that what he gives them is authentic and true. That the Rasul ﷺ actually allowed him to say what he's saying. He's not just giving out information to fill in gaps. Number three, there's an aura for religious people. The power of religion is always there. And we want to make sure that that power, that aura, is felt from the top where the Imam is and everyone else. And in this country in particular, it's a Christian country, they appreciate religion. We find everybody in the field talking about Islam to where the Imam doesn't talk about it outside the door of his masjid. We want to make sure that the Imam becomes part of the fabric of the society with the honor of speaking on behalf of Islam in a way that can be understood, appreciated, and followed eventually. Number four, the power of unity is something that we need to make our community stronger. And the community can never be united if the Imams are not. No matter what board members do, no matter what activists want to do, if the Imam is on the sideline, they can't bring people together. The only way for us to bring people together is to educate the Imam to be understanding what unity is, and he can be the supporter, if not at times the enforcer. The next generation that comes also, we want them to get their religion from a reliable source. Right now, the last person they ask is the Imam. Whether it is a stigma that has been attached to the Imam unfairly, or whether it is the truth of the fact is that he doesn't communicate well with the youth in the new upcoming generation. So we want to make sure that they have, Sheikh said a very beautiful thing just right now, that's what we want to know. It's a two-way communication. Well, if one side doesn't feel like they can communicate, why would they? I mean, even Allah Ta'ala with us made it two-way communication. He said, walk to me, I run to you. You know, mention me, I'll mention. The hadith is known. And then we also have Imams that are struggling, and we act as a union to help them out. Let me just give you an example. During COVID, 9 Imams passed away. Their families were left to dry. We have 22 families these days that have no source of income. If we don't find a way to help them, then that's an unfortunate situation that the Imam of the community is driving an Uber. Nothing wrong with that. I did that myself at one time. But it should not be, right? And there's national conferences and international conferences. Everyone and their mother, excuse my language, attended, but the people of knowledge of Islam are not invited to those things. In fact, my dream is not just to unify the Imams here in the United States and Canada, because Canada is part of it. My hope, if my life is a little, Allah Ta'ala allows it to stay a little longer, that we have an international unified Imams Council, which we already have put the seed into it. It's going to be a challenge, but we'll find a way to make it. When we become better, you will become better. When you become better, you will also make us find a way to be better. I remember only a few teachers that when I went to school, I remember them by name. They're the ones that challenged us. But the ones that accepted our result at the exams, I don't remember them much. I want the Imam to challenge the community and the community to challenge the Imam, and we will be there to give him the tools and have him come up to the level of what we are and where we are today. Today. And by the way, he's with us too.
All right. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Abdul Hakim, Sister Rohan Mamlouk, Sheikh Walid Basuni.
I might start at Clear Lake Islamic Center, but I admit, not just to be humble or anything like that, but الحق أحق أن يقال, يعني truth is true. The real power of the masjid today is Sheikh Kamal. I don't deserve that credit now. I'm like in the back end, but I have to say that. And also Sheikh Ibrahim, Jazakallah khair, with me from the beginning. So it's not only, I know Sheikh didn't mean that, but it has to be mentioned, and al-haq has to be mentioned. Sheikh Kamal is but nothing but a very beautiful force that joined us, and I'm looking forward for more. Looking forward for Sister Rana Mamlouk to be more involved with us as also a religious director in the masjid, and I'm looking forward for more imams to move on. With Sheikh Ammar as well is contributing lately. I do believe that a community like us in Southeast can have a lot of good qualities, inshallah, of good religious leaders, because that's what the imam is, just not the one who lead the prayer, but the one who lead the community. So I just want to mention that because it's true.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Walid. And I must also mention the truth. My wife does most of my work, but I take the credit. I'm okay with that. Jazakallah khair, everyone, for your input. We do need a lot of volunteers. Please do. Sisters, go to Sister Amani. Brothers, come see me. We need volunteers. People have ideas, anything you want to do. If it's a great idea, we'll do it right away. If it's not, I'll look you in the eye, I'll pretend that I love it, and we won't do it. Jazakumullah khair, everybody. Let's go have some rice pudding. Sallallahu barak ala Muhammad. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.